Hi guys, it's April and I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 5B, and this is another garden tour. Honestly, for this introduction, I have zero idea of what to say. The only thing that has really changed in the garden, besides everything growing like crazy, is the fact that the cover crop has been cut down, and I'm starting to think about when I'm going to be planting the squash. But I'll show you that in the middle of the garden tour. In fact, you know what? Let's just start with that. So as you can see, this, what I am calling the test plot, now has a tarp over most of it. So I have a short up about cutting down this cover crop and then putting this tarp over top. I did, in this corner over here, we had some ground cherry volunteers that I saved. We didn't cut that back and I just didn't tarp it. And then I put the test zucchini in the ground yesterday because that for sure I didn't want to lose, especially while I was waiting for the cover crop to kind of die back a little bit more before I dug holes in it, because I did not anticipate how quickly all of these squash were going to grow, and some of them are starting to get a little nutrient deficient because of being in these pots, so I wanted to get them out as soon as possible. I'm gonna go look for a port sometime this weekend and maybe we'll get the rest of these squash in the ground. Otherwise, we've got everything in the pots. My peppers, there's another one on the other side that doesn't look the greatest. I'll go and show you. Tomatoes are doing somewhat okay, but I think this is not a happy pepper plant, and I'm wondering, with the lack of water and then me overwatering, has got a lot of these things in pots stressed out, because I did have to go and, let's see if we can get around this monster, clip off a lot of the bottom stuff on this tomato plant because it wasn't looking too good. So I think I'm stressing the plants out. I honestly don't know what to do about this. I might try going longer between watering some of these guys and maybe not watering quite as aggressively as I have been, and maybe that'll help, because like I said, we have just had the weirdest weather recently. We haven't gotten a lot of rain, and so I'm trying to supplement with watering, but we're on water restrictions. So when I can water, sometimes I get just a little too aggressive with it, and the pots I don't think can handle it, so I need to adjust a little bit. This milkweed over here is doing so fabulous. I have seen a couple of monarch caterpillars all over this, but honestly, when I came out this morning, I could not tell you where any of them are. I'm hoping the birds didn't get them, but what I am learning is that these caterpillars know how to hide, so I'm trying not to stress about it. But you can also see that the buckwheat and the soba are starting to come up, which I was afraid I wasn't going to get any, but it looks like we've got some coming up. However, the butterfly weed is in bloom. So we've got this pink variety right here, and then we've got this white variety right here, which hasn't fully opened yet, but it's getting there. We have some germination of the sunflowers, but it's spotty right now. And when I get down there, you'll see the same is true for the zinnias. It just hasn't been going so well this year. But that sunflower right there is just thriving. The garlic is looking a little bit iffy though. I do have a couple more weeks before I'm probably going to think about harvesting any of this. A lot of this top die-off is because of just our dry weather and not necessarily because it's ready. I usually keep track of the bottom leaves for that. But like I said, this year has just been so weird that I can't guarantee anything, and that monster of a weed needs to go because once those get in, you can never get them out. The biggest freaking root. Oh no. Yeah. Root gnaw. Still waiting on the germination of this okra. I think what I might do, maybe this weekend, I might start some seeds on a wet paper towel and get some actually germinating and then get them in the ground, because I don't know what's going on here. And I'm hoping to get okra, but we'll see. These pepper plants are starting to look really, really good. I think they've probably maybe doubled in size in this last week or so, or at least got really bushy. And then we've got tomato plants. The Korean long is still holding on, and like I said, just gonna let her go. She does have some blooms on her, but we'll see what happens. I have gone through a couple times now, and as you can see, I have pruned the bottom of the tomato plants, and I have started tying them to their trellises, whether it be string or metal or what. But these guys have gotten so stinking tall. They're huge. And of course, these onions seem to be bouncing back. But it's really these onions back here. Holy cow. And the potatoes. Potatoes are flowering. It's crazy. And these onions, so the onions I originally planted, let me show you these other ones over here, are all getting crazy. I need to start using these ones as green onions to get them thinned out a little bit. But we've got some really thick stalks in there. So I think some of them are going to be bulbing up just fine. And there's a peek at the carrots. I was afraid we weren't going to get carrots here for the longest time, and they are looking glorious. But I kind of like skipped over a whole bunch of things. Let's go back to where we were. So as I was saying, the potatoes are flowering. I haven't tried to look in there so that I can see what is going on. So it's going to be a total surprise. But here's where you really start to see some of the heat and water stuff that's going on. The nasturtiums aren't happy. I think that one is giving up on life. I'm sorry. And then the beans are looking a little, not the happiest. Like I said, the tomatoes are thriving. We've even got some of the first fruits coming up. These are the first slicing fruits. There are a couple plants that I've noticed with cherry tomatoes on it. Some of them have been eaten by bugs. But when you're not spraying, that can happen. We also have a calendula that is going to bloom soon. These beans look fine, but these are also from Save Seeds. So they're kind of used to how I manhandle them. But at the same time, this nasturtium looks really good. So there just might be the way that the sun hits the bed on the other side that just affects the plants a little bit more. It might get more sun, more intense sun, because the house will block this bed from the afternoon sun before it'll block the other bed. Here are the carrots. We still have that patch, but I am liking the way the rest of this is filling in, except for this grass. It's freaking everywhere. The zinnia bed still isn't filling in. There are sprouts here and there coming up, some of which I have to actually confirm are zinnias. Otherwise, it's just my water lilies. The hot peppers, I think, are probably doing the best out of everything. Because, I mean, look at these guys. They're huge. And the calendula in between, there's something about this bed that they're just going crazy. And I did over the winter put some tincture marc as a mulch for the garlic that had been in this bed, even though only this section came up. And maybe that's just part of it, that the way this was fertilized, these pepper plants love, and I am okay with that. The nasturtium in this bed have issues, but they're getting big. I have just always struggled with nasturtium. It looks like some of them are getting overwatered, while some of them are underwatered, and that's because this bed slopes. I do want to get constructed beds that not necessarily I, a non-engineer, put together. Sometime this fall, and of course when they do it, they'll do a better job at leveling it than I did. Didn't realize how much of a problem it was going to be until third year in, and the beds are falling apart and the soil is just shifting, and so is the water. Here are the tomato plants. Some more of those Roma. I mean, they're looking a little sketch. Like I said, some of them are better than the others, and I think, like I said, because the bed slopes that direction, so the water slopes that direction. Yeah. I did trim back these flowering radish the other day so that my peas start doing their thing a little bit more. I have been harvesting and feeding both myself and the puppers off of these peas, because the other peas, obviously, as we'll get over there, you'll see they're not doing the greatest. We do have this pepper plant, this eggplant. She's feeling dry, but this bed it's wet. I thought this was going to be the eggplant that was going to do well this year, but I'm thinking the one in ground is going to be the one that makes it. And then here are these zucchini plants, which are the whole reason I started cutting back the flowering radish, so that these guys had room to fill out and start expanding so I can get me some zucchini. I haven't seen any flowers yet, but I think we are almost to that point, so I'm excited. So I did skip over these tomato plants. And of course we've got the chives and the strawberries, and of course this peach tree. This tomato plant right here, however, is the one I wanted to stop on. Because this, I think, is the Tigerilla from M.I. Gardner. And it is the best looking Tigeroma that I have in ground right now. That Roma is not looking the hottest. We do have a fruit starting to form, so that's something. But the leaves on this, I believe this is the Midnight Roma from row 7. The leaves are kind of like the Tiger Roma varieties that I've got from Baker Creek. They're small and sometimes oddly deformed, but the plant still produces. And we've got the ground cherry that I actually planted. So this is the Aunt Molly, and the volunteer I showed you earlier, I believe. Oh, I honestly am not 100% sure what variety that is. It isn't an Aunt Molly. It's something else that I got from Johnny's that I'll probably put on the screen because I can't remember it now off the top of my head. So we'll have two different styles to compare. I'm gonna find a way to sneak over there and show you those beds. So we still have all the same stuff growing over here. So we've got this butterfly pea, some more garlic, the tomatoes, and as you can see, the peas have just ended, at least on these 3 trellises, while the garbanzo beans are really starting to come in. I have noticed, especially on these back runner beans right here, so we've got a little bit of an aphid problem. Normally I just let things go how they're gonna go. I never really have any specific fight for something that I want to do in the garden. What I get is what I get, but I have never had this kind of issue with aphids before. In this side, in these beds, I've just had the worst time keeping things alive and keeping things healthy. Because you saw how these calendula look, and I've had a whole bunch of lettuce planted in this bed. I've got maybe 1 lettuce plant that hasn't been eaten. And then if I take you back over here, while trying not to make you dizzy, this was actually the first tomato I saw. But now, something has eaten the middle of it. So there is something for sure going on in these beds, and I need to figure it out. A lot of times I've just taken the methodology of, if it can push through, it can stay in my garden. If I get something to eat off of it, then I get something to eat off of it. Otherwise, it becomes a trap plant. We'll see if I finally just get fed up with it. These tomatoes are just, I don't know. I think it just might be how much sun, how much water, and the intensity of the sun over in this area. but we do have the thyme back there and this green bed. I have started pulling some of the lettuce out because it started to bolt. The strawberry spinach needs room. Been eating a lot of the spinach. And then we have this Brad's Atomic Grape, which I thought for the longest time I was going to have zero success with. But this last week, I did do a full garden fertilizer with Espoma. And I've been watering this bed heavily because it's got so many plants that really take up that water. And I think that just helped this tomato plant. And I might actually get to try the Atomic Grape this year. But otherwise, we've got this peach tree. And then we've got that tomato plant that, you know, haven't fend for itself. Those right there. Blueberry plants. They're alive, but I'm definitely not going to get blueberries this year. And as you can see, this eggplant is looking a whole lot better than that other eggplant. So something in the raised bed has the plant stressed. I don't know. But other than that, that is the whole garden. I'm excited about the prospect of starting to get tomatoes and then possibly peppers and eggplants. I have noticed a lot of flowers on both of those, but it'll probably be a while before I start getting fruit. I'm also bound and determined to get the okra started one way or the other. So if you'd like to follow me on my journey on figuring out what the heck is happening with my okra, subscribe down below, hit the bell, do all the things to get all of the notifications. I do have an Instagram account as well, so you can check me out over there. I do update earlier over there with pictures of things that I have harvested. I think the next big thing, sometime this weekend or early next week, I'm gonna get those squash plants in the ground. And then maybe that's the end of the things I have to plant, unless I can't figure out the okra and I'm just repeatedly planting okra all season until I just give up. I might try daikons again because I do want daikons, and maybe I'll have better luck trying for a fall. A lot of times they just bolt on me anyways. And I might try the bok choy that way because I do have spaces in these beds that haven't quite covered the way I expected them to be covered, but we'll see. So with that, I do want to let you guys know that I do try to do weekly garden tours, and I do hope that I will see you again in another video. I heart you beautiful faces. Bye.